What we have here is my Acer laptop connected to my BMS through a USB pass-through, which is in my console. What I'm doing right now is checking the top of my charge. So if I go to the battery profile, you can see what I've done is set my maximum cell voltage and max cell voltage while charging to 4.24, which is maybe just the highest that you'd want to go ever. But the reason I'm doing that is so the Orion does not shut the charge down. What I'm doing is checking the factory charge settings on these dual Elcon 3.3 chargers. Well, this is the Orion software. I will watch to make sure that the charge does not go over 4.24. And we can look at the live cell data right here. The red cells are the ones that are actively balancing right now, or passive balance if you want to call it. All they're doing is running the voltage down on each cell just a little bit through a resistor. So all it's really doing is just dissipating that extra energy as heat. But the reason you do that is to bring the high cells down to match the low cells, so everything is nice and even. So the way Orion has their system set up, you don't rely on the chargers to shut down the charge. The Orion is the one that takes command. And in this case, if the Orion somehow fails, the Elcon chargers will shut down when they get to a specific pack voltage. So the pack voltage at 4.24 volts per cell times 42 cells would be 178. 4.2 would be 176. That is really the maximum voltage. We're just setting it a little bit higher just to test. I want to make sure the Orion doesn't shut the charge down first. Then we can adjust afterwards. If you notice, my state of charge is in the upper left. It says 96. So we'll see whether or not that gets reset to 99.5 up to 100. And also, what we're going to look for if the Orion does shut the charge down prior to the chargers, we're going to see a trouble code right there, which informs us that the Orion noticed one cell going over its max voltage, and it will shut the charge down and throw an error right there. And then you'll notice there is a delta cell voltage, 12 millivolts, which is pretty good. We'll see what that delta is once the pack is fully charged and at rest. That delta might come down. So the chargers have shut down. In fact, I was just using one charger, this one right here, actually shut down. And you can see that there was no trouble code detected, which means it was not the Orion that shut down the charge, it was the chargers. So exactly when the Elcon chargers turned off was 174.6. So if I go to my trusty calculator, 174.6 divided by 42 cells, that equals 4.157 volts per cell. So I need to set the Orion just slightly under that. We can go 4.14, which would cause the Orion to shut the charge down before the Elcons, and then it will allow the Orion to reset the state of charge to 99.5. Otherwise, it's not going to represent my state of charge properly. So let's go do that. We'll set these to 4.14. So now I would send the profile changes to the Orion BMS. So those changes we just made are now being uploaded into the BMS. And it says it was successfully transmitted. Then what I'm going to do is go up here and save the profile to disk. So I always have a backup behind this. Save. And we're done. But if you'll notice, my state of charge has not reset yet. So it just remains, once the pack is run down a little bit and I charge it back up, whether the Orion is going to indicate that it shut the charge down, and it'll show a trouble code because one of these cells here has gone right up to the max cell voltage, which is still under the absolute maximum capacity of these cells, which is fine in the long run. I mean, the chargers were factory set, so they're doing their job. And you know, in the long run, the pack will last longer because you get more life out of the pack if you just slightly undercharge by a shade. So pretty happy with the results so far. There you have it.